The Awakening. It is the collection of the spiritual discourses given by Swami Ananda Vinod, translated by Prastuti Shrestha and read by Sunny Shrestha. Swami Ananda Vinod has been traveling his spiritual journey for over 35 to 40 years and is a renowned name within Nepal. Countless number of people have joined and benefited from his initiative, popularly known as Vishwa Jagaran Abhiyan, the World Awakening Mission. Dear listeners, you may consider his words to be an insane man's outcry. But once you have read or listened to this book, I am sure that your journey towards the truth will begin at whichever level you are. This book shall be a great help for you on your spiritual path. And thus the name, The Awakening, a friend for the truth seekers. Celebration, our true nature. O dear blissful spirits, an honor of warmth with the celebration within, please do accept this honor and warmth. Look, dear friends, a new day has brought up a celebration in nature and the whole existence. The dancing of the flora, gusting of the wind, drizzling of the water, flowing of the river, rustling of the foliages, all have created a sensation of celebration within me. However, a friend asks, I am a simple man, but how can I celebrate this life like you have said? How can I participate in this wholeness of celebration and be blissful? Dear friend, let me ask, who said you are a simple man? From where did you get this idea of an identity of a simple man? No one is simple in this world. Everyone is extraordinary and is different from each other. The existence, the Supreme, did not create us ordinary or simple. Everyone is master of their one, and no one is inferior to anyone. It is because we are extraordinary, not because of our one endeavor, but as a gift of the Lord. It is the wholeness from where we came, the wholeness where we dissolve, and the wholeness where we end up. The wholeness is also different. It is not simple. When anyone says that you are common, when you feel and think you are simple, you lose your self-identity because the ego is neglected in the situation. The society says, you are simple, too ordinary, try to be superior and extraordinary because you are simple as every insect in this land. But all these suggestions are useless because you do not need to be superior and present your superiority. If we are determined to be superior, it is just fake because we already are superior since the Supreme created us. It is just that we have forgotten everything. Wake up. Let us wake up, peep in and see the emperor within us. Let us indifferently witness the truth within us. You are not a beggar, but an emperor. Observe and realize what your real identity is. This is when the celebration blooms. Then cherish every moment with celebration. We should never worry about how to celebrate. The only thing for celebration is life, which we do have. The flora and fauna, the river, the streams, the starry skies, and the bright moon are reasonable for the celebration. What should we ask for more than? If you are provided with precious ornaments and kept in a golden palace, can you celebrate? No. Then how is it that you should have all facilities and requisites to celebrate? Have you seen any emperor and sultans singing, dancing and celebrating? No, because they have manners and courtesy, but they have lost celebration. They can never swim in the depth of celebration, never. Somewhere in his creations, Bertrand Russell writes that when it was for the first time that he visited a tribe in a dense forest, he felt very envious. Jealousy rose in him like tides on the sea or tidal waves. They were celebrating as if they were given every requisite like that of an emperor without crown. Every female was an empress. They lacked precious ornaments and gigantic bungalows, but whatever they had was more than enough. They taught him the lesson of celebration. They danced all night and slept wherever they fell. By the dawn, they would have gone to their jobs, and by dusk, they would have been ready for the celebration, for the moment to rejoice once more. Russell says, those moments were filled with envy towards them because I could not celebrate, I could not dance and sing so as to conserve my so-called dignity. What hinders? Why can't we dance, sing, rejoice and celebrate? Everywhere we find fear, fright, weird and long faces and conspiracy. The world is filled with the boundary to laugh, to cry. Why cannot we laugh and cry? What has happened to the world? Is it hexed that we cannot once again remember celebration? Is it that we need to live amongst warfare, conspiracies, injustice, insult against our will? Otherwise, where has the mistake been made? Why cannot we afford to correct it, dear friend? Friends, to try to be ordinary are itself an extraordinary job. Is it not? If you think being simple hinders to enjoy and celebrate, you are wrong. Simplicity is never an obstacle for bliss and celebration, for living life in a joyful way and to its fullest. There is no need to ponder around in search of a reason to be a blissful life owner. We are able to celebrate without any cause. No one can go against our will to seize this ability from us. Nothing can hinder us to rejoice, and it is obviously that not that we need to be a successful singer, a dancer, or be successful materially. Goraknath says, it is with joy and bliss that we reach to the level of consciousness and meditate. Why is it that faunas can rejoice and we cannot? Why is it that nature is blissful and we are not? Once upon a time there was a graceful and a beautiful horse. The owner of the horse loved it very much. Once an emperor saw the horse and was deeply attracted towards it. He called the owner and requested, "Dear citizen, please sell me your beautiful horse." "No, lord, please," the owner denied. The emperor pleaded, "Do not deny me. I shall pay as much as you wish. Sell me your horse." "You are asking me not to sell my horse, but to sell my love." "There is neither any price nor any payment of love," replied the owner philosophically. The emperor could not buy that horse. It was the same night that the horse was stolen. When tied in its stable, everyone gathered to share the sorrow of the horse owner. Alas, the horse owner was distributing sweets, celebrating. The crowd asked in surprise, "Distribution? On what celebration?" "This celebration is for me not being on the horse. I was lucky enough that I was not on the horse back, else I would have been stolen along with the horse." A general query followed. "Aren't you disappointed about losing your lovely horse? Your love? Disappointed? How can there be disappointment in love? Love is nothing more than celebration and blissfulness. Love is not a disappointment. Love is not a disappointment." Chapter 2: Concentration and Meditation. Dear seekers of the Supreme Identity, warm wishes to the Supreme Identity within. Please do accept my warmth. Welcome to you all to this series of Jagaran, the Awakening. Here I have a query from a seeker. He asks, "My mind cannot concentrate during meditation. What shall I do?" Dear seeker, first of all, let me make it crystal clear that concentration is not meditation. Generally, every person and every religion considers meditation as concentration in one way or another. Since we know that concentration creates irritation, to concentrate is not to meditate. Mind wants to roam freely, but to try and concentrate it is to go against the proper liberty of mind. This creates an internal conflict between us and the mind. Now, dear seeker, permit me to explain what the conflict of mind actually is with the help of encouraging stories from Professor Ram Murthy. He used to carry an ox in front of his students in the college. Excited with this, everyone asked, "What is the secret behind it?" He would reply, "I used to carry the ox when it was born. So due to daily practice of carrying a baby ox, now I can carry him even when he has fully grown." He even encouraged that the examination was the same which would be fought with from the very beginning. Among various other stories of Professor Ram Murthy, let me give another story, a good example of the internal conflict. Once, when the professor was returning to his home from the college, he saw some juicy yellow lemons for sale. His mind said, "Ram Murthy, buy them." The soul said, "No, there is no need." But mind again repeated, "Return back, Ram Murthy, you should have bought them." Then he immediately returned back and asked the price. Those juicy lemons were too cheap to pass up, so he bought them. When he reached his home and was about to have a lemon, a voice from within him said, "Poor Ram Murthy, listen, if you eat these lemons, you will lose with your mind. If you let mind get victory over you, your life will be a waste. It is better if you die than to be a slave of your own mind." Listening to these inner sounds, the professor threw the lemons and shouted, "Hip hip hooray, I won." This is an example of internal conflict, and this is definitely not meditation. This type of conflict does not help meditating, but instead create chaos within. It is not to fight with the mind, but it is that mind easily gets victory over us. That is why, dear seekers, I plead you not to try and concentrate, but instead let it rest and rest deeply. For 1 hour, let us not try to concentrate, but accept whatever mind says and does without flowing it. Let us watch indifferently the thoughts to take a rest. This kind of total acceptance of thoughts and emotions of mind is meditation. Dear seekers, once I, along with my fellow seekers, were to conduct a 3 days meditation camp. During the evening time, the stray dogs of the village gathered around our location and started barking. The practice of silent meditation was going on slowly and gradually. Every seeker started to feel unfavorable with the barking of the dogs. Slowly I commanded the seekers, dear seekers, do not feel diseased by the barking of the dogs, but let us thank those dogs who have acted with us as the Supreme. Today, they have added a new meditation to this camp, barking meditation. Let us accept this sound totally from the inner soul with total acceptance. After the completion of the evening meditation, every seeker was grateful for such depth of meditation, a lesson of total acceptance. In the houses of the hypocrite seekers, we see a terrible chaos. The so-called saint complains of the baby's cry or the hitting of the cutlery and expects silence instead of accepting the sound. He does not understand that totally accepting all leads to an ultimate silence. Slowly and gradually, we learn to watch indifferently to all that goes on. To watch indifferently is not to be religious or is not a deed. Actually, it is meditation to watch indifferently all that happens. That is why concentration is not meditation. To make it more convincing, what I would like to tell is that concentration strengthens the mind, while to meditate is to diminish the mind, to make the ego disappear. It is totally different from concentration. As long as we concentrate our mind, we can never reach the supreme destiny, because at that time we become ourselves instead of emptying the self. The diminishing or disappearing of our existence and allowing the birth of a new consciousness is meditation. Dear seekers, we know it is not necessary to bring the sun rays to the rooms. We can just open the door and let it enter on its own. In the same way, let us not try to do meditation, but let us leave ourselves so that meditation can happen. To try and to effort to bring this state of meditation is to hinder it instead. It is necessary for all of us, the materialistic people, to understand the language of acceptance and surrender, leaving aside the language of endeavor and deeds. Let us understand that meditation is not a deed to be done, rather it is a situation of letting go. So seekers, try not to concentrate, but instead let go. After this situation of let go, whatever evolves is meditation, which slowly and gradually has to spread to 24 hours a day, wherever we are and whatever we do. Then we will become a statue of full consciousness. O concentrating seekers, let your concentration dissolve. Let this drop of consciousness vanish among the single ocean of consciousness, and let the self dissolve within the Supreme. Along with my wishes for the birth of a new consciousness, I would once again like to pour my warmth and wishes to be wrapped up by the seekers. Chapter 3. Diligence is the state of blissfulness. Once upon a time, Lord Buddha said, diligence is the state of blissfulness. Diligence, or the state of being active, is one of the biggest achievements for those who want to progress in life. Diligence has created powerful people, rich businessmen, prosperous nations, and powerful civilizations. Idleness or laziness makes our mind, body, and heart weak and powerless. The Gita says, Shraddha wala bhale jnana tatpar samyatendriya. This means those who are committed to work and are always kind to others can only gain knowledge. Those who are not affected by laziness can strive continuously towards responsibilities and can attain the meaningfulness of life. An idle person cannot attain excellence at any cost. Idleness and progress cannot go together. A lazy person is always dominated. Laziness is heredity. If the parents are lazy, the children are also lazy. Just look how disciplined the nature is. Every element of nature performs its specified task in such a disciplined and specified period of time that there is no trace of idleness there. For a brave person, there is nothing unattainable. A diligent person can do every task successfully. A deer never enters the mouth of a sleeping lion. So let us wake up, for you yourself are the light. You are blissful, you are all powerful, and you are all full and free. Nature is hostile and harsh to the idle person. Even the birds and animals are hardworking. Look at the diligent bees and ants, for example. Now let us turn our attention to human society. Only hardworking and determined people get happiness and success in life. Even if we are born in a poor family and have no ancestral wealth, we can definitely earn money, name and fame if we are hardworking and are not victimized by the disease of idleness. For name and fame are controlled by diligence and determination. Many people do not give proper attention to their eating and sleeping habits. They eat whatever they want and sleep whenever they want. As a result, they are never punctual. They are late for school, office and all daily activities, leading them backwards in every endeavor, and ultimately are jogged into depression with a sense of failure. An empty mind is a devil's workshop. A lazy mind has a lot of unnecessary thoughts. It cannot accept high living, sacrificial thinking, love and resolution. That is why idleness is our greatest enemy. An idle person lives the life of a worthless parasite. History tells us that those civilizations perish which stand on the foundation of idleness and extravagance. A man need not be rich in terms of material possession in order to be complete in life. Poverty is considered as a severe problem, but it is only poverty that can teach people the hard work and diligence and wakes us up from the sleep of ignorance and idleness. In this sense, poverty can become a blessing. Poverty prepares a man to face the worldly challenges. A person who can go ahead with courage and faith can definitely meet their challenges successfully. Today, every person seems to be busy, or they want to keep themselves busy. They will not find the time for things like contemplation, study, yoga, meditation, worship, travel, etc. They abandon these important aspects of life as useless and meager. The work which can be done now should never be kept for tomorrow. Such procrastination is a sign of idleness. An idle person always neglects and postpones work. If we wake up at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock, we get an extra hour. A lazy person says that he will always wake up early the other day, but tomorrow never comes. Thus, idleness is man's greatest enemy, which prevents him from happiness and success in life. Let me pin up one last story. There was once an orphan child in the city of Yunnan who used to earn his living by selling wood. His whole time would be spent in hard labor. One day, a passerby noticed the boy cutting wood as well as reading, and he was quite amazed to see such a small child doing such hard work. Then he asked the small boy, "Have you cut all this wood yourself?" "Yes," replied the boy. The man said, "I am surprised to see your diligence and hard work. There is greatness in your disposition. Will you come with me? I will teach you." The boy agreed. Later, the boy became a great thinker and philosopher of Yunnan. His name was Pythagoras. So dear friends, let us make a place here, and now that we will completely abandon idleness and plant the seeds of diligence. Chapter 4. Knowledge is God. Dear seekers, due honor to the soundless sound within you. Do accept my regards. Now let us dive into the vast ocean of knowledge and wisdom. Dear friends, knowledge has vast definition. There are two types of knowledge. The first one is self-knowledge and the second is knowledge that is borrowed in credit from religious books or sastras. The first knowledge or self-knowledge is the knowledge that is gained from our own experience. On the other hand, the borrowed knowledge is only a way to hide our ignorance and our weaknesses. So instead of running after the borrowed knowledge and trying to hide our ignorance, let us try to dissolve into the search for the self-knowledge, the inner wisdom. Only this type of knowledge can confiscate the darkness within us. This darkness is due to the borrowed knowledge, which is like a blown out lamp. Moreover, the borrowed knowledge is just a picture of lamp. Can this confiscate the darkness? Of course not. Similarly, a mere photo of truth cannot end our source of knowledge. It cannot remove our ignorance. The borrowed knowledge is just a memory, not the realization. Talking in dreams is just a mere talk, not the awakening. It is just like hearing others' talks in our dreams. Do you blindly believe it when someone says God exists? If yes, have you experienced it? The ultimate is a matter of realization. We have not been worshipping God out of our self-realization, but because of fear or greed of fulfilling the demands. There are various types of religious people in the world. Some have become religious due to the fear of hell, whereas some are inclined to religion due to the greed of heaven, happiness, and angels. According to me, none of them are truly religious people. Can a greedy person be religious? The most important thing to be religious is to get rid of greed and fear. There is a story of a mighty emperor and a poor person. The emperor had managed a grand discussion arrangement for his courtiers. Sometimes he also took their examinations. One day he brought a parrot to the palace. The parrot always used to talk about a mistake committed. The emperor asked his courtiers, "Do you know what the mistake the parrot is talking about?" The emperor had even arranged a prize for the one who would know the answer. There were many learned and wise men in the palace, but no one knew what the parrot was talking about. The question put everyone in a great dilemma. Then one of the wisest courtiers went in search of the answer. When he could not find the answer, he returned to the palace dejected. On the way, he met a shepherd, and the shepherd asked, "Why are you looking so depressed?" He told the shepherd the whole story. After listening to the courtier, the shepherd assured him that he would help him find the answer. The shepherd said, "I will help you know the answer, but I have a problem. I have a dog that is too weak and cannot walk. Since I am also weak, I cannot carry him." The subject then carried the dog and took it to the palace. After reaching the palace, the parrot again cried, "A mistake has been committed." Hearing this, the shepherd pointed at the dog and said, "Emperor, this is the mistake committed." Since the emperor was perplexed, the shepherd said, "It is mentioned in the epic that a priest should take a bath if touched by a dog. But this great priest is carrying a dog out of a greed for a prize and honor. Therefore, the only mistake is that of greed. Likewise, fear is the other side of greed. People are afraid that their greed will not be fulfilled. That is why those who have become religious out of fear and greed are not truly religious. So who is the truly religious person? A truly religious person is the one who is free from greed and fear. The most crucial thing for gaining the truth is fearlessness. Fearlessness is the only thing that leads to the stability of the body, mind, and soul. Let me put forth another story. An emperor was standing on the terrace of his palace and gazing at the sea. There were thousands of boats. The emperor asked his old minister to look at the thousands of boats. Then the minister said, "I see only two boats, the boat of greed and the boat of fear. Some sail in the boat of greed and some in the boat of fear, but both the boats are unable to reach the shore of true religion. Fear gives birth to hatred and enmity. So how can you love a person whom you fear? I had heard a soldier became a captain. Two other soldiers used to walk as his bodyguards. When the other soldiers saluted him, he always used to say slowly, "Whatever you said is for you." One day, one of his bodyguards asked, "What do you mean by that?" The captain then replied, "When I was a soldier, I used to salute the captains but always insulted them from within my heart. Since I know they have the same feeling regarding me, I am returning back to them their own feelings." We worship God just out of fear. How can you ever love God when you fear Him? The people make a mistake when they say, "Don't fear anyone except God." But I say, you can be afraid of everyone except God. Therefore, it is a high time for us to realize that whether we fear God or love Him, God is our soul. He is everything. Avoid fear and greed. Be true to yourself and take your one steps toward self-realization.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Chapter 5. Let's love our children. A child is pure and innocent, but in the process of growing up, their simplicity is lost. Society makes them clever and deceitful. The world does not give due respect and rights to the child, so they learn to snatch their own rights and respect, which ultimately leads to dangerous consequences. To discriminate and mistreat a child is to plant the seeds of inferiority in their delicate heart. This can develop feelings of revenge and negativity in the child as they grow up. The discrimination and negativity towards a child finally ends up in revenge and destruction. This can be best explained with the help of this popular Nepali folktale. Once upon a time, there was a family of 4 consisting of grandfather, father, mother, and a small son. The grandfather was old, weak, and powerless. He used to consider himself a burden and always used to whine and complain. One day, the father bought a rucksack and put his father inside it forcefully to throw him down the hill. At that very moment, the small son came and asked his father, "Father, where are you taking grandfather? Are you going to throw him from the hill?" "Yes," replied the father. Then the son said, "Then bring back the rucksack after throwing the grandfather away." "Why?" asked the father. The child responded, "So that I can throw you away like you threw grandfather when you grow old." Today, parents should rather understand the children's sentiments and feelings than blindly imposing their wants upon them. Trying to control the children by threatening them of ghosts, etc., only creates fear and terror in the delicate minds of the children, which may even last for a whole lifetime. If a child is playing, shouting, and enjoying, and we are reading a newspaper at the same time, we shout at the child, telling him not to make noise. We scold and punish to read news full of death and destruction. We hurt the feelings of a child full of life and happiness. Is this right? There is no hard and fast rule that a child must be shouted at and scolded even if he does not behave decently. Let's give them knowledge, wisdom, and the opportunity to progress. Let's strive for the balanced development of a child. Then only the parental responsibilities can be fulfilled. Then only a child can be said to be born in a true sense. Otherwise, giving birth merely to the body and not to the soul can be compared to that of animals. It could be even worse than that because even animals have qualities like love and forgiveness which are vital for raising children. One important point is that in the process of purifying the soul of a child, we are purifying our own soul. If you love your child, if you plant the seeds of wisdom and morality in the child's mind, if you develop the strong roots of meditation in your own child, then you will find yourself transformed along with your child. When a sculptor carves a beautiful statue, he himself becomes beautiful in the process of carving. Without first becoming beautiful ourselves, we cannot give birth to beauty. Without becoming balanced ourselves, we cannot make others balanced. How can you make your child beautiful and pure if you yourself are cruel and impure? To form others, it is necessary that you form yourself first. Children are a great responsibility, a colorful responsibility, because a responsibility filled with love is always colorful. If we are loveful towards our children, then we quietly strive towards the balanced development of our children without any complaints. If there is no love, we shout, we complain, and blame society. But we should keep in mind that a child is never spoiled by society. A child is spoiled by us, our carelessness, negligence, and hatred. Let me put forward a story in this context. I have a brother who has only one son. His son is very playful, and whenever there are guests at the house, he is always busy playing. One day, my brother scolded his son badly by saying, "Why are you always playing? Don't you have to study? What will you do in the future if you act so stupidly?" Soon, we had dinner. After dinner, the son also came with us to watch TV, and my brother again started shouting, "Now that you are finished up with your playing, you are here to watch TV. Don't you have to study?" In my opinion, it is more of my brother's fault than his son. We adults don't need to watch TV and serials, but a small child needs entertainment. True? I kept on trying to convince my brother that it was not the boy's fault, but my brother was not ready to listen. His anger grew more and more, and he hit his son with a book at hand. The boy cried, "Oh Lord, if a child is to be brought up in this way, can our society ever be free from crime and violence?" This is a matter of serious concern for all. What we make makes us too. A creator cannot be freed from his creation. With the birth of a beautiful poem, a beautiful poet is also born. If we really love our children, we should try to see the scene in each one of us. Let's give our children love and affection. Let's not impose our wants and opinions on them. Let's not interfere. Let's help. Let's start the loveful behavior from our one home, from our one side, from our one children. Then only can a home be a temple and a society and nation become a heaven. Oh my dear friends, most of the youth today are going towards a dark path of life because they were not raised with love and affection in their childhood. So let's make a pledge through this Jagaran Abhiyan, awakening mission, to work for the betterment of our children because children are God. We should mold them into responsible and loveful adults. Chapter 6, Originality. Beloved spirits, warm honor to the supreme originality within you. Here, let me pour out to you my views on originality or individuality. Every person has to see their own originality. It isn't necessary to be Gautam Buddha, Jesus Christ, or Meera. Why is it necessary to borrow another's identity in credit? Why do we need to act? Acting makes it more complicated to know the depth of our originality. Actually, this existence neither has two identical people nor is there similarity between two people ever. Furthermore, even identical twins have their own individuality. They are different physically and mentally. This their parents know. We know even two leaves of the same tree are different from each other. If it was true that individuals may have similarities between them, then why isn't there another Gautam Buddha even after 2000 years from this time? However, We have heard rumors of a present-day Buddha somewhere in the forest of Ratanpuri in the Bara district of Nepal. But still, there is no similarity in the physical appearance. I am surprised of the rumors of the crowd, how they succeed to make positive and negative imaginations and enjoy them. The rumors spread of this young boy's 6-month prolonged fast, rumors that snake fed milk, that his body would lighten at night, that he was bitten by a snake, that he was hospitalized, or even that he vanishes and reappears. Dear friend, according to my opinion towards him, he is a poor farmer's son on a spiritual quest. He might have continued this journey from his past life. He might have been initiated by a spiritual master and went into the forest searching for tranquility to meditate. However, the crowd won't let him be serene. It is a must to know that these drapes of rumor hinder our vision towards the truth, dear friend. It is possible for a seeker like him to stay without food for a prolonged time. It is even possible that his body lightens at night. Furthermore, a prolonged determination of 6 years meditation is even possible. One of my friends, a Buddhist seeker, stayed for 8 years in calm. The only thing I wish to make crystal clear is that to be bitten by a snake is not a great surprise. Despite the various rumors and the probability of him being a Buddha, where is another Gautam Buddha? This seeker has own originality. Why do we need to snatch anyone's originality? Can a rose be a marigold? Can a jasmine be a rhododendron? No, never. We have never seen a petunia wishing to be a rose, have we? If this happens, a garden does not remain a garden. This never happens among the beauties of nature, but happens only among human beings. This leads to frustration. Someone wishes to be a Jesus Christ, but is just limited to Christian. Anyone desiring to be Gautam Buddha, unfortunately, just is a Buddhist and not Gautam Buddha. It is not possible and even not necessary for more than two persons to share a common identity. If there were no individuality, how would it feel to find Sri Ram carrying bows and arrows everywhere? There would remain neither beauty nor originality. That is why you need to be yourself. Dear friend, you need to shape the gift of originality and superiority that Supreme has handed over us. To lose one's originality means to be not more than a clown, a matter of laugh. Here comes a short story of Emperor Akbar. Once upon a time, the Mughal Emperor Akbar called out his courtiers and announced, "I have heard a lot about the Ramayana. Can anyone write a Ramayana on my life?" All the courtiers remained silent. Isn't the Mughal Empire vast and better than Ayodhya? Can any one of you write a Ramayana on my life? Birbal, one of the courtiers, broke the silence and said, "Obviously we can. Ram was only a king, but you are an emperor. I shall write it for you, but I need 1 lakh rupees and a time of 1 year." For 1 year, Birbal expended the money lavishly and didn't write a word. By the end of the year, Birbal stood in front of the emperor and said, "Jahapana, I have completed the Ramayana, but I need to ask you something without which the Ramayana cannot be completed. The question is, in the Ramayana, Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, but who kidnapped your empress? If I could have his name and address, I could complete your Ramayana." Akbar yelled in rage, "How dare you think of such behavior to my empress? You don't need to write the Ramayana anymore now." Then Birbal asked with augmenting curiosity, "Then shall I write about Mahabharata? For that I need 2 lakh rupees and a time about 2 years." The following years, Birbal again expended the money in merrymaking, and by the commencement of the next year, Birbal stood in front of the emperor and said, "Jahapana, there is another problem. The question is, in Mahabharata, Draupadi had 5 husbands. If you are one of the husbands, I would like to know the name and address of the rest of the 4 husbands of your empress." This time, the emperor held his sword high and yelled, "How dare you talk such a nuisance? How can she have 4 other husbands when I am alive, huh? Birbal replied, "What is my mistake if you have chosen such an epic? Now, shall I write the Veda?" The emperor replied, "You don't need to write anything now. If you need to write, then do write my one life story. I have realized that I can never borrow the heroic life of anyone." Finally, Birbal said, "Jahapana, I had tried to make you realize the same thing. One's originality does not come under the favor of other. Dear friend, when your originality blooms and spreads its perfume, you will have the same scent that Buddha, Jesus Christ, Allah, and other divine spirits had. You will have your own color, but the taste remains the same. The expression may vary, but the experiences persist in common. Yes, you will have your own music, but the flavor does not change. So be thankful to God for your unique originality. You can only remain yourself. You can never be the other. May your originality bloom and flourish throughout your life."
महिमा साधु संग की सुनो मेरे मीता, सुनो मेरे मीता.
Chapter 7. Prayer after Realization.
साधु संग की सुनो मेरे मीता, सुनो मेरे मीता. महिमा साधु संग की सुनो मेरे मीता, सुनो मेरे मीता.
My beloved spirits, Pranam. Please do accept my wishes. Here, I have got a query from one of the seekers, Jagriti. She asks, "Honorable Guru, I have never confronted the Supreme. Then, to whom shall I pray? How shall I pray? And where shall I pray? Please let me know." What a question, Jagriti. This question is similar to the question of a nude person who asks, "How shall I wash the clothes if I bath, and where shall I dry them?" Likewise, if you haven't seen the Supreme, how can you pray? According to me, this question is the question of the ones who engage in imagination and build castles in the air. This is the hypothetical question.
साधु संग की सुनो मेरे मीता, सुनो मेरे मीता.
In regard to prayer, prayer is not the thing that is to be done, but rather it is the consequence of knowing and realizing the Supreme. Instead of asking, "To whom shall I pray?" when I have not realized God, you should have asked, "How can I recognize Him and realize His presence?" Prayer is not a question to be asked, but it is what happens after the realization. We can never learn the prayer, and we are not here to teach the prayer. In fact, the prayer that is taught and learned is false. It is because to do anything without realization is fake. To go to a temple, to visit cathedrals, to pray anything. On the other hand, when we have realized His supreme presence, then anything we do becomes a prayer. Wherever we bow becomes the temple. Wherever we pray becomes the cathedral. And wherever we remember Him and become blissful becomes the Gurudwara, the monastery. I can only suggest, but cannot let the realization enter into you. I can suggest that my realizations are of my own, and it may differ from yours. So meditate yourself so that you can recognize the supreme divinity. That is why I even suggest yoga and pranayam as the basic foundation of ultimate realization. How come you ask on how to pray when you don't know whom to pray? If you ask how to pray, and if I tell you the way to pray, that will be the fake, just as a duty, just as a compulsion, and against the self will. Prayer is precious, not a matter of turn and caution. Once, I had gone to one of my relatives' home, where I started hearing some quarrels. On knowing further, I came to know that the quarrel had started because the younger son had to do morning prayer due to the absence of his grandma. Yes, he did not wish to take the turn to perform the prayers, but even if he had done them, it would not have been worthful.
कीट हस्ती जीता
As we know, when a baby is born, we do not need to teach him how to suck the milk. Likewise, when we have recognized the Supreme, prayer comes and follows itself. In the same way, even Sudha once mentioned that the mother learns love and affection along with the birth of her child.
आपनो इस पैदन धीता सुनो
Not the prayer of throwing flowers before him, not only bowing down, but what flows is the prayer of supreme thankfulness and the prayer of surrendering our life and soul and the prayer of surrendering one's head, the ego. However, we dishonest people do not put our head on his lotus feet, but instead keep coconuts, flowers, and fruits. In prayer, we do not take help of these things, but use ourselves for his prayer. Once, I had been to Mount Abu in Delhi, near the Lotus Temple. There was a coconut shop nearby. The worshippers used to buy coconuts from the shop and place them in the temple. The priest would again take these coconuts and then sell them to the same shop. In this way, the coconut cycled in the hands of shopkeeper, buyer, and priests in turns. What is the use of this cycle? Instead of coconuts that look like our head, we have to surrender our head. We should bow down and pour our ego at his lotus feet. Even flowers that we secretly steal from the neighbor's garden, or even our own, are worthless. Worthful are the flowers of deep feelings, of love and faith, flowers of our life, flowers of our tears, and flowers of our realization and surrender.
सिंह बिलाई होए गयो ऋण मेर दिखीता
Let the prayer go in hell if it is learned or taught. Wake up, increase the realization for the spontaneous prayer, and you will not need to ask whom to pray, how to pray, and where to pray. In conclusion, do not worry about confronting with God, but instead sink into the depth of meditation and let the realization enter into yourself.
सुनो मेरे मीता सुनो मेरे मीता सुनो मेरे मीता सुनो मेरे मीता मेहमान साधु संग की सुनो मेरे मीता सुनो मेरे मीता
Chapter 8 Sansayatma Vinashyate. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna states Sansayatma Vinashyate. This means that the man who is forever doubtful will never experience bliss no matter where he goes. Moreover, this doubtful nature can be the reason for his destruction. To be in confusion about whether to do a job or whether to proceed or not is doubtful nature. This nature hinders our path and compels us to remain wherever we are without any progress. There is the old adage, doubt is as poisonous as a serpent. In the context of the Gita, when Arjuna was in the battlefield standing against the Kauravas, he recognized all of the opponents as either his relatives or friends. The Kauravas opposed and insisted they would not give even as much as a needle tip of land to the Pandavas. Arjuna had the thought, to kill is the greatest sin, but how can I compensate the offense over Draupadi and oppose the injustice of the Kauravas unless I fight and kill? Arjuna supported justice and virtue at the same time. Virtue said, these are your brothers, your flesh and blood, do not kill them for the sake of land. On the other hand, justice said, the ones who walk in the path of injustice can never be your relatives, they are your foe. This was when Sri Krishna said, Arjuna, ignore the attachment and follow your duty. Through various verses of the Mahagita, Arjuna succeeds in avoiding the doubt of whether he should or should not kill, and finally gets ready for the battle. On your one path towards your destination, it is your doubtful nature that is your greatest foe. Many superstitious people believe that certain days are more fortunate or lucky than other days. It is this superstitious feeling that determines whether the day is good or bad. This feeling is just your doubt, it is not real. Dear friend, I can guarantee that the unlucky day for you will be lucky if you forcefully insist on good feelings for that day. No days are unfortunate. It is only belief or doubt that determines your fortune. There are many events which are not inherently unfortunate, but our doubtful feelings make them so. For example, such superstition as seeing a black cat or a cat crossing the path, or seeing empty pots or utensils, or hearing a crow caw, etc. Yes, it is true that doubt leads to destruction. Let me tell a story about a friend of mine to support it. This friend, a singer, had an accident in which his tongue was cut. Due to the incessant negative talk with those who came to visit him, he began to believe his wound as cancerous. By this doubtful, negative thinking, it turned out to be true and led to the loss of a great talent. That is why, friend, it is not necessary to believe something else is the symptom of diabetes. Many people undergo treatment only due to the doubt of certain symptoms. Here is an example of doubtful nature of some people. Some people are too weak in self-confidence. One of my relatives prepared hard for his upcoming exam of master's level. However, when the examinations took place, he began doubting himself. Sometimes he would pretend to suffer from fever, or sometimes headache. Likewise, many students suffer when an examination is near because they doubt themselves. In response to this doubtful nature, I said to my brother, ignore your self-doubts, build up your confidence and take the examinations. When he went and took the exam avoiding all the doubts, he passed in second division and did very well. To be in doubt is a waste of time and health. Once there was a man who used artificial teeth. One early morning he could find his teeth neither in his mouth nor in the place where he had kept them. He became scared and thought that he had swallowed the artificial teeth. After some time, his belly began to ache. He thought the teeth were scratching his intestinal walls. He insisted that his family members take him to the hospital. The ambulance was called, and when his surgery was about to begin, one of his family members cried, "Wait, the teeth have been found." Hearing this, the man took off his gown and left the operating room. His stomach ache stopped immediately. This man's doubtful nature took him all the way to the operating room. This kind of doubt and worry is not fruitful. It can make a young man old, turn the hair white. It can snatch away bliss and can even lead to death. Once, a saint was meditating in a village in the middle of the night. The village had an endemic disease. Meanwhile, the saint felt a dark shadow fall upon him and he asked, "Who are you?" "Death," was the reply. "I have come to take 1/4 of the people suffering from this disease." Ultimately, half of the people died, and the saint asked the dark shadow in rage, "Why did you lie? How could you take half of the people when you said you would only take 1/4 of them?" Death replied, "I only took 1/4 of them, but the remaining ones died from their one fear of death." Yes, doubtful nature leads to destruction. Doubt in oneself, in other person, and doubt in any situation is never fruitful. So it is important to achieve victory over doubts through love and faith for the ultimate success.
शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गम् लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं
Chapter 9 Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam. Dear spirits, here permit me to talk about challenges and about facing them. To ignore challenges is to turn away. Until we can confront the challenges of life, our birth is impossible. The birth I am talking about is possible when we accept the challenges of life. Dear friends, when we are able to accept and confront challenges, only then will we take birth. To be an escapist means to kill the possibility of rebirth. Let me tell a story of an escapist person, one of my friends. Once, this escapist friend came to me with a shivering body and legs. I inquired, "What happened? Is anything wrong?" My friend broke the dead silence. "A stranger has filed a case against me, and here I am afraid of the court door." I suggested, "Confront the challenge. There are three kinds of people on earth: the one who runs away from the challenges of life, the one who faces the challenge but does not fight with it, and the one who accepts the challenges and stands up against them. Dear friend, try to be the third one and confront this challenge. These challenges occur for the perfection of your own self." Then my friend faced the challenge. He won the case in the district court with the help of a lawyer, and he won all by himself in the appellate court. When he had studied law, he knew that he could advocate for himself. He was appreciated for his inborn skills by other lawyers and judges. He was encouraged and won the case. By confronting these challenges, he has now become a skilled lawyer and thanks me for the encouragement. Our journey of life tells us Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam. This verse says that we should be placid in all hindrances of our life, like Lord Vishnu was placid among the Bhujagas, snakes. We should be calm and confront the hindrances. If a seed is frightened to be buried under the ground for fear of the darkness it has to face, it can never germinate. It can never grow. Dear friend, life is full of challenges. To realize the depth of life, more and more challenges should be confronted. Face the obstacles to go beyond them. The world is filled with escapist people, and as a result, the world has ceased to be spiritual. The interesting thing is that most of these escapist people are preaching spirituality. Most of these preachers have avoided the challenges of life, but often they say that they have given up everything for the sake of Spirit, the Lord. However, due to a slight mistake of avoiding the challenges, they have lost their chances of feeling the presence of the Lord among the challenges of life. Our avoidance to the obstacles makes the possibility of knowing ourselves more difficult. The Supreme is only among our endeavor, our ability to face and fight with the challenges of life. To go beyond all challenges means to reach the depth and reach the optimum altitude where we find the divinity. The challenges that we have run away from always remain and can even chase us. The ability to confront the challenges eventually helps us to fight them. Diversion from challenges does not give peace. Peace lies in our effort to face the challenges. The one who fights wins for sure. Likewise, the conclusion that I have drawn from Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace is that peace is possible only after war. For the sake of peace, the escapist people escaped from the challenges and considered all hindrances, obstacles, and challenges as the negative situations of life. For those people, I suggest not to face these challenges only if you no more wish for the birth, the real birth. Let us remember our birth, the pain of a mother, but there is also a pain of the child. The pain had finally given birth to a new creation. The pain of the mother is physical, but the pain of a child is the real pain of leaving the bliss in the mother's womb, where it had no problems of food or even breath. This pain is expressed through the wail just after the birth. Out of the mother's womb, it has to face the world full of challenges and problems. Probably 99% of the newborns would prefer the mother's womb over birth, but this birth is a compulsion. The real birth I am describing is not compulsory, but is optional. That is why there are only few births of this kind, the birth of the spirit. The birth of the spirit is only possible in the presence of a master. In the compulsory birth, death is inevitable. But the birth of our spirit from our master does not end in death, nor it is reborn. The newborn spirit becomes free from the cycle of life and death. Running away from the challenges of life is suicide. When we run away, the obstacles take a gigantic form. The one who fights with optimum determination is presented with a problem in a small form, but one who fights with least determination has to face the gigantic form of a problem. The problem vanishes before full determination, but problems take a gigantic form in front of no determination. Dear friend, Be aware that obstacles are the consequences of lack of determination. All obstacles are, in fact, the opportunity for our development. Here, along with my wishes for the arrival of the obstacles in your life, I wish for the strength of your determination for the victory over all the obstacles. Chapter 10. Sufism is beyond the Islam. Dear friends, today let me address the issue of the Sufis, who are closely related to the Jagaran movement and often heard of. The Sufis are the Muslim saints, but there is no limit to them. They can also exist among Hindus, Christians, Sikhs, and Buddhists. The word Sufi has been derived from the name of a particular scholar. It is not only related to the Islam religion. The word Sufi is derived from the word clean, the same clean from which the word cleanliness is derived. So the meaning of the word Sufi is to be clean. Sufi means clean, fresh, pure and healthy both physically and mentally. Sufism is a path to Sufi meditation. Buddha, Mahavir, Nanak, Muhammad, Osho, all these great men were Sufis. Sufism is believed to be a part of Islam, but Sufism existed even before Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Their origin is timeless. They are found in different colors and different places. They have different cultures in different nations. Jesus, Hazrat Muhammad were also Sufis. In this way, being a Sufi is to be pure and clean, both inside and outside. But we humans are expert in creating boundaries in religion. If some do yoga and meditation, we consider them to be Hindus, when it is evident that even a Muslim or a Christian can do yoga. Yoga is not only associated with Hinduism, though it is true that yoga originated from Hinduism. Similarly, the origin of Sufi is Muslim religion, and larger section of Sufism was found in Muslim religion, but today it is spread amongst all religions of the world. Our habits and thinking is strange, for we always try to limit the limitless. We try to frame the whole sky. Different problems evolve due to our same thinking. Due to this, even a vast religion has become narrow, even a mighty religion has become limited. The true meaning of Sufi is pure in mind, body and soul. It does not make any difference whether you become pure by taking a bath in the Ganga or Narmada or Amazon river. Which river, which stream, what difference does it make? The important thing is your purity, then only can you be a Sufi. Sufi is the real form of a saint. There is a common notion that Sufis wear green clothes, but what difference do clothes make? We are so much entangled in these small worthless things which limit our vast thinking. Some people are idol worshippers. Idols have become more important than humans. Naturally, that is why more and more mosques have been built. But how far is it worthwhile? Surrendering is valuable, sacrificing is valuable, bowing yourself to others is valuable, but it does not matter whether you bow to a lifeless form or a human form. But it is important that you bow to others, you surrender yourself to others. But we are so much entangled in our own worldly web. Let me tell a story related to Nanak. Nanak was also a Sufi. He had no prejudicial feelings against Hindus. Once he was sleeping, resting his legs on a holy stone. Obviously, the so-called priest became restless again. They found this act of Nanak to be an insult to God and asked him not to do so. Then Nanak replied, "O priest, then turn your legs in that direction where there is no Allah." It is said that whichever direction the legs of Nanak turned, the stone also turned in the same direction. God is everywhere, in the sky, on the earth, in our hearts. If showing our foot to God is really an insult to God, then we cannot even walk on the earth, for God is there as well. God is everywhere. Dear friends, in our understanding, love is limited. Let's look at things from little wider perspective, rising above our narrow limits, for there is unity and oneness. When the Americans first landed on the moon, the first thing that they felt was, "Ah, my dear Earth." They didn't say, "Ah, my dear America." These same people who could not see anything except America and Americans while on the Earth could see the whole wide Earth from the moon. This is the vastness of our thinking, a sense of belongingness and oneness. In the same manner, why can't a religious minded person consider all religions to be his one? Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and all religions to be one. When this feeling of belongingness and oneness arises in all religion, then only a real religion is born. Religion is only one and will always remain one because truth is one. But politics has divided us. In reality, yogi and Sufi both means the same. So let us wake up at least a little and break the narrow walls and boundaries. Then only can we know the universal truth. Let me tell one last story. Once a traveler called Ismail alayhi salam had set up a rule that one should never eat alone. So it happened that one day he could not find an eating partner. So he called an old man to eat with him. While the man was just about to eat, the traveler stopped him saying that he had not said Bismillah. This story ends with Allah saying, "Can't a man eat without taking the name of Allah? I have been feeding this old man for 70 years and never have I asked him to take my name." The traveler realized his mistake and didn't ask the old man to take the Allah's name again. My dear friends, religion has no conditions, no limits. It does not matter whether you take the name of Ram or not, whether you worship fire or water. What matters are your feelings. Your feelings should be that of unity, then only true knowledge can be attained. Chapter 11. The Divine Bliss. Dear blissful seekers, I wholeheartedly honor the blissful Lord in you with my extended warmth. Please do accept this warmth. I, Ananda Vinod, would like to welcome you all to this series of Jagaran, the Awakening, from my inner core, along with the chirpings of the birds, humming of the air, and tender rustling of the wind. Here, I would like to follow up my views on blissful laughter. Medical science states that laughter is a precious gift given to us humans by nature. Laughter holds an awesome ability, the ability to make us happier and the ability to take us into the depth of meditation. Laughter not only alters us chemically, it also shifts our negative mental vibrations. Laughter sharpens our intellectual power and awakens mental sleep. Laughter penetrates the mind into the deepest extent. A person who can roar with laughter is refreshed every moment and can never commit suicide. It hands to us the precious gift of internal and external silence and bliss. Laughter gives us a new vision to study the world. It makes us alive, content, energetic and creative at the topmost level. In various Japanese Jain monasteries, the seekers practice laughter with the arrival of the day and its departure. We as well can even practice at our own places. Laughter is the prayer of the living religion. However, if the religion is dead and has no life, it teaches the seekers unnecessary seriousness and never promotes blissfulness. In these dead religions, laughter becomes its enemy. Laughter is the beat of life. Religions today have forgotten all the laughter, bliss and merriment. It is the only cause that has made the earth as serious as ever. This so-called religion can never transform and make the earth blissful until it finds the way to rejoice and celebrate by recalling dances, music and songs. Dear seeker, I request you to laugh, to roar with laughter. Laugh, forgetting all misery. Laugh without any cause. At the same time, please remember what Shakespeare said. It's okay if we laugh. Laugh with a roar, but do not laugh in such a way that creates irritation amongst you. Laugh without any means of vulgarity. He went on to say, laugh with a totality. Laugh in such a way that no situation can snatch away your laughter. It is our weakness, dear friend, if we are unable to hold on to our constant bliss in all situations, success and depression, joy and sorrow, even life and death. If we achieve this joyful, blissful situation, there is nothing lingering behind. This is the situation of enlightenment, the situation of total liberty from all the worldly situations and problems. The person who has achieved this state can laugh through his tears, but the person who has never understood bliss cries through his laughter. That is what we call a fake one. The laughter of these people gives nothing more than venom. However, the laughter of blissful people imparts the beauty of blooming flowers and foliages. Some people try out laughing in a manifest level to hide their sorrows behind their smiling face, which I state not as a laughter but as a betrayal to oneself. The other laughter that I know is the laughter mixed with the inner voices of eternal music. This laughter is the one I state as real blissful laughter, which is always disclosed towards the eternal. This real laughter is the only one that makes us feel freedom, makes us more meditative, increase blissfulness, and shows the path towards the truth. The imperial highway, which leads towards relief from sorrow, is none other than laughter. It is the only true human religion. Laughter is the only way to express inner bliss and contentment. Blissful laughter shares the beautiful taste of religion. The blissful personalities are those whose movements are blissful, as if dancing with bliss. Their silence even shimmers like blissful waterfalls and drizzles all that religious books have in them. These blissful souls shed the invaluable gift of bliss and beauty wherever they set their tender feet. We must consider ourselves faithful to receive the invaluable gift of bliss and beauty despite our inability. Dear friend, to know laughter, we need to have some quest for truth, some fulfillment of truth. In a way, we can say that laughter is directly proportional to our enlightenment. Today, the world is soaked with leaders' egos. To save the world from this, there is an utter necessity for a blissful religion that teaches people bliss and laughter. The person who laughs just for the sake of laughing is the selfish one, who betrays no one else but himself. Dear seekers, please do note the distinction between the priests and saints. So-called priests are not saints, not the wise ones. Priests are the ones who snatch away the bliss and laughter from the ones with a deep thirst for bliss. Priests are the ones who lack the self-experience of nirvana, who only repeat words as parrots and pile up knowledge. Rare knowledge collected from religious books is surely not enough to fulfill the quest for the truth. Priests are unaware of bliss, of laughter. They only have the dead words of books which they have never applied in real life. They talk of useless principles that are never going to lead us to the supreme destiny of truth and bliss. How come we are impressed and stunned with these talks which are limited to words? How come we are involved in such fruitless words and lose the inner bliss, forget laughter, and lose our way towards the truth? On the other hand, the saints, the wise ones, share their words with simplicity. They say that truth, the destination, is like a clear sky where the stars can be noticed easily, and it is like an open book whose words can be read without difficulty. We are surrounded by truth from every direction like a fish is surrounded by water in the ocean. However, the priests say that truth is far away, that we need to labor hard to reach it, and they try to show us maps towards it. But according to the wisdom of the wise, all maps and paths are bogus. Truth is where you are. You just need to disclose the fake clouds and discover the truth that is within you. At last, dear seekers, please do permit me to tell a humorous story of three laughing saints. Very amusing were the laughing saints who went to remote villages, stood in a junction, and started to roar with laughter. After all, laughter being so communicable, it slowly spread amongst the villagers. Even the neighboring village dwellers began to roar with laughter, not knowing why. If any villager happened to ask, "What do you really preach?" there always was the simple reply, "Preach, laugh, just laugh. Live life in a way that makes you laugh. Make others laugh. Let life be nothing but bliss. Lead your life in a way that you can make others laugh." One day, one of the three laughing saints died. Thinking the saint would have ceased laughing, the villagers went for a visit. Alas, where would a wail have come from? There was still just laughter. "Are you mad, or has your friend's death made you mad?" the villagers asked. But the saints replied, "No, this mate has broken the dreams of togetherness, but at the same time, he has made us realize that a day comes when we need to leave behind the body. He has made us realize that life is just a joke. There is no cause we can see to worry and wail." Everyone was ready for the funeral, every blissful and laughing person. A corpse, in accordance with Hindu culture, should be given a bath and burned naked. However, as per the wish of the dead saint, he was burned along with his clothes, without a bath. After a while, there were firecrackers crackling in the sky during the cremation. Alas, it was a grand celebration, as if Diwali had arrived. Later, they found out the saint had hidden firecrackers in his pockets to impart bliss and celebration to everyone, even at his death and beyond. So dear seekers, learn the laughter, the supreme prayer, and teach others the laughter, the deepest meditation. Teach other the laughter, the deepest meditation. 12. The religious reality. My golden warmth and honor to all the graceful spirits. Please do accept this honor. Here, I would like to discuss in brief about religion with a new viewpoint, new spirituality. Look around, dear friends. Today, there are religious divisions in the name of religion. The greed of humans has caused these religious groups to become a medium for various miracles and tangible consequences. They attract people by appealing to humans' greed. They appeal, listen, hurry up to join us or else the consequence will be terrible. Join us if you want to enter heaven. You are always welcome to join. Some others even threaten, if you do not accompany us in our religion, you will go to hell and you will have to face sorrow and pain. People consider this as religion. Do you support this, dear friends? I do not. Though Jesus Christ was born in Judaism religion, he cannot be called a Jew because he found the solace of truth and religion in loneliness after his long meditative journey. There are no exalted ones who receive the supreme truth in the crowd of religious people. However, friends, we are the ones who bow down in the same place where our ancestors did, not understanding whether the place we bow can enlighten us on our path or whether the place where we bow has supreme identity of its own. Dear friends, we are totally unaware of our journey. Christians believe that they only have churches to pray. Muslims prefer only mosques, and Hindus think it is only the temple where they should pray. Most of us have these sorts of feelings of prejudice and superiority. So-called religious people fight amongst themselves for a common cause, and that is religion. Christians fight with Muslims to prove that churches are more important, but can we understand that the church is a church which cannot make us realize our ego? Can we consider a temple as a temple where people do not feel love and bliss? Can we call them pilgrimages if they cannot lead us to the state of emotionlessness, thoughtlessness and timelessness? Pilgrimage places are those places where saints dwell, where spiritual masters dwell, and where the spiritual test of blessings flutter. Dear seeker, we do not observe and recognize the pilgrimage that leads us to the real pilgrimage within ourselves. We just peep through every temple, church and mosque which does nothing but burden us with piled up unnecessary bogus matters. Dear seekers, a pilgrimage cannot be called a pilgrimage until it erases the negation, the ego that is within us and makes us realize that we are nothing but what existence wishes us to be. Here, let me put forward a scientific study about a mouse. Scientists once made a box with 10 adjoined small rooms made of a transparent glass. In the last room, they kept a small piece of cheese. When the mouse was placed inside the box, it began to search out the cheese in every room. Finally, it found the cheese in the 10th room. The next day, the same mouse was again placed in the box and it went directly to the 10th room and found the food. In this way, the usual routine was followed daily, but one day the scientist put the cheese in the second room. The mouse, as usual, went to the 10th room. It could not find the cheese and went to search the other rooms and finally found it in the second room. Dear friends, I have enclosed this study because we human beings do not have even as much common sense as the mouse. How long has it been that Hindus been going to temples? How long have Muslims been going to mosques? How long have Christians been going to church and Sikhs to gurudwaras? Friends, if we cannot feed ourselves with the food that temples, churches, mosques and gurudwaras are providing, then we need to enter the other rooms just like the mouse did to satiate his hunger and have contentment. The religions of today are incomplete. How can we complete our quest with them? I have come to hear that some people categorize religions by what followers eat. For example, some followers of certain religions are vegetarians. This categorization is disgusting. Religion is not so cheap that it can be attained just by food. It does not matter whether the food we eat is pure or not. If this was so, then the world would already have been a heaven. But I question, are you content? No. Then how is it that you have attended religion? Do not consume alcoholic beverages. Do not kill animals. Do not steal. These are just the good principles. They are not religion. Religion hides in simplicity. The peripheral definition of religion is not enough to know what religion actually is, what is sin and what is virtue. How can we know? Is it the sin to use insecticides that kill insects? What sin or virtue do we commit if we drink milk, cow milk? The people who follow Jainism do not eat green leafy vegetables because they consider it a sin. Is it a sin to eat green leafy vegetables? The Quakers, one of the religious divisions of Christianity, do not drink cow's milk. They think that the process of milk formation is similar to the formation of blood. There are so many things in this world that have been categorized as sin or virtue by various so-called religious groups. As far as my understanding is concerned, I think that real search and fulfillment of divine truth is religion. Any activities performed with high consciousness are religious. The one who realizes the self is religious. All others are bogus. To recognize the self, there is only the divine way of yoga, pranayam, and meditation. The religious principles cannot be achieved without meditation. Meditation gives birth to the real principles that are otherwise unattainable for the seeker. An enlightened person never follows any principle of religious group. They have their own spontaneous principles. The person who does not have the knowledge of truth and no quest for meditation has no consciousness at all. They are not spiritual, even though they build religious temples. They have not known the Supreme, which is said to dwell in these temples. In some countries, there are temples named after the wealthy people who constructed the temple. This has led to the tremendous growth of ego that is within people. Religious forums are made as a result of growing ego. No matter how long the lecture is or what philosophy is being presented or how good the speaker is, it can never relate to true spirituality. Due to lack of spiritual knowledge, people are lost in a world filled with lust. Everyone wishes to go higher and higher to attain a higher state, but this effort of going higher really takes us higher in the unknown world after our death. Then every type of higher state has to fall down to the lowest degree. Dear friends, I am not trying to say that we should not effort for high status. Yes, we should try for the best, but also prepare for the worst. Today's politics cannot succeed until spirituality and real religion go hand in hand with it. If not, this process of union, division and reunion will continue to repeat itself. The only possible way for world peace is none other than religion, the true religion. If you want to believe, please do think a bit deeper. Religion is to show the direct way towards self-realization. It is the journey of a river towards its supreme destination, the ocean. Let us not waste our precious time. The seeker is the one who ponders how and explores every place to fulfill his quest for truth, the same way as the exalted ones did. Eventually, their words became the religious books. Their presence became the pilgrimage places for the other seekers. The religious temples are only an unsuccessful effort to try and place a frame over God, who is not limited to stone, but is the unlimited universe. And how can a man frame an unlimited universe? Surrender is religion, not the so-called groupism. Today, within this talk, I have dared to disclose the brand new spiritual definition of religion that may not be accepted by the self-proclaimed religious entities. Through these feelings, I want to convince you that people are made more unconscious by these bogus religions than by the unstable politics. I can say this because I am a true victim. I am the wood who knows the pain of the woodcutter's axe. Today, the real seekers who sincerely wants to know the truth are being betrayed by these fake religions and are being incapacitated on their path to nirvana. Now, I have come to the end of my words and definition of religion that I have encountered within my journey to understanding the truth. I am still traveling to know more. I am still traveling to know more. Chapter 13. The Ultimate Miracle. Dear seekers for the mystery of truth, all my best wishes and warmth to you. Here I want to share some of my words that include some of your queries about miracles. Let us commence. Honorable spirits, let me disclose to you a bitter fact that human beings have been the ones who are skeptical of their own strength. They think of themselves as too weak. Due to this, they are victimized by several worldly pains and miseries. This pain has even been proportional to the economic status of the people. When people are unsatisfied with their economic status, they feel themselves to be weak and they begin to search for miracles. Whenever they come across a saint who does miracles, they revere him as if their wishes can be fulfilled by him. Until and unless our societies become free from the greed of the people, the misuse of this greed will go on. the impacts of miracles are, however, least effective in well facilitated societies. Here, let me give a story of a notorious fraud. Once, a journalist asked him, "How long will your profession go on? How long will you be a fraud?" The man replied, "Forever and ever." "How and why?" the journalist responded. And the fraud continued. "It is because the continuity of our profession depends upon the greediness of the people. Since I believe that greed will never cease from human civilization, I am sure that my profession will last forever and ever." People are much more attracted to miracles performed by saints or religious people, yet when people go to the lotus feet of the spiritual masters such as Buddha, Kabir, Nanak, Mahamati, Osho, etc., these masters do not fulfill our worldly wishes but instead break our expectations, our greed. They do not misuse our greed, our hopes, and our expectation for the fulfillment of our wishes. Even in many religions, some so-called religious people present their miracles in front of people and victimize them. During my one spiritual journey, I have come across miracle-making spiritual masters as well as various hypocrites. The detailed introduction of this subject is difficult to explain in a short time, and it is even unimportant. According to human behavior, man is always eager to show off his character to the world. The exalted ones and the spiritual masters are the ones who are the king of all miracles, but despite of this, they do not show their worldly miracles to the seekers. Miracle makers cannot be said to be spiritual masters, though both can do magic. According to poor and disadvantaged people, any miracle makers in saintly costume are considered as saints, and many miracles makers in casual costumes are considered to be magicians. However, there are no differences between them. In fact, magicians are more honest in comparison to the so-called saints. Sometimes ago, a magician named Ananda made a visit to Kathmandu. Television stations broadcast his interviews and various magazines published the interviews. I remember and really appreciate how honestly he answered the questions. Let me tell an important part of an interview. "Sir, you could easily be rich by demonstrating your miraculous tricks in the society. Why do you effort so hard for your livelihood?" The magician replied, "It is easy for me to cheat others, but how can I cheat the Supreme within me? How can I ever cheat myself?" Magicians share their tricks as magic. However, if any saint shares his tricks, he states it as a miracle. He claims it as a divine power to cheat us. If we are to decide whether a person is a spiritual master only by the miracle he does, PC Sarkar or Ananda should have been the real saints. According to me, there is no any relationship between religion and miracle making. No one is to attract anyone to spirituality by the fulfillment of wishes or by miracles. If a person is attracted to a religion without any kind of a greed, he is the one who is eager for the day to come when all his wishes, every single wish, is dissolved. This becomes the greatest miracle to him. Until this situation is attained, a person cannot become blissful. Even Professor J.K. Mehta has stated that only the person who has achieved the state of choicelessness can only be religious. Dear seekers, when we reach the state where there are no wishes and no expectations, a divine gratitude arises within us. No spiritual masters disclose their miracles in front of their disciples, but instead show them a way through which they can disclose the miracles that are always happening. They teach their disciples the way to fill their life with bliss and remedies. Here, let me give another story of Gorakhnath. One day, Gorakhnath was having a religious discussion with the Hatha Yogi. The Hatha Yogi asked the Gorakhnath, if you really are enlightened and have achieved the supreme energy, can you walk across this river? Gorakhnath replied, "O Yogi, tell me, how long did it take for you to learn this skill?" The Yogi replied, "A continuous effort and a practice of 20 years. "Oh dear Yogi, let me tell you a bitter fact that you wasted your 20 years for 20 paisa." "Why? How can you say that?" asked the yogi. Then Gorakhnath responded, "It is because it takes only 20 paise to cross the river on a boat and you have wasted 20 years of your life just to strengthen your ego. These 20 years could have been more fruitful if you had used them in search of the supreme truth. You would have not only gained the ability for this miracle, but also the opportunity to know the ultimate miracle. The miracle of extinguishing the fire splashing petrol does nothing for a seeker to find his destination. That is the reason Buddha said, I am not a miracle maker, but instead I am a physician who can give you a prescription and details of its effects within you. Dear seekers, why do you run after the miracles of a magician? If you look consciously into the world, every single molecule of nature made by the Supreme reflects miracles in front of your eyes. The dance of the rustling brooks, the brightness of the blue sky, the millions of changes in each season, and overall, the universe as a whole is enough for us to realize the miracle of the Supreme. Let us salute to this divine miracle. Let us give up all sorts of unnecessary things and feel ourselves as a part of this miracle. At last, dear seekers, I would like to say that you yourself are the miracle. Your existence is the miracle. Please realize and use this miracle. Surrender yourself unto the ultimate miracle. Let us cease to do miracles in order to let the ultimate miracle happen. By sharing these feelings, I would once again like to share my warm wishes to you all. Chapter 14. To be true rebel, be spiritual. What according to you is rebellion? I don't think rebellion is protest. Protest is just a reaction to any action. Rebellion is the awakening. Rebellion is intellectual vision rather than blind faith. Religious faith is also not rebellion. Such faiths are supposed to be taken out of the mind and thereby sow the seeds of wisdom and reap the grains of truth. Rebellion is the announcement of the one's originality. A rebel is the master of his own self, and being rebellious is his religion. A person who blindly believes in something can never be a rebellious one. A rebel can be a friend but not a believer. He learns everything from everybody but is not anyone's slave. A rebel needs determination. A master is the one who does not mentally make his disciples his slaves. A master does not ask his disciples to blindly believe him. A master is the disciple's friend. A master is supposed to have come across similar obstacles as that of his disciples. A master teaches his disciples to be rebellious. Some of the so-called spiritual masters are often heard to be saying, from this day of initiation, you have become my disciple, now you should do whatever I ask of you. I believe due to this religious abuse, Karl Marx thought religion to be opium's intoxication. Even in ancient times, there were such masters. For instance, Jesus Christ had said, all of you are sheep and I am the shepherd. I am the one responsible for your freedom. I think no master is supposed to call himself a shepherd and all others the sheep. To call others sheep is to disrespect their humanity. Sheep always feel safe in a herd. They can neither be alone nor can they be a rebel. The sheep go wherever the leader leads them, whether that is a road or a ditch. Sheep walk in a herd, a lion walks alone. This makes him a rebel. You should be a rebel like a lion. A true master is the one who gives his disciples total freedom and love. This love gives birth to rebelliousness. Love is an incident that takes place where there is neither a gardener nor a flower. The only difference between the master and disciple is the awakening. A master is awakened and a disciple is walking towards the awakening. He has the possibility of awakening because he is in deep sleep. When the master is waking his disciples up from this slumber, the disciples may think the master to be rude, but for the master, rudeness is the best way of exposing his awakened state to his disciples. Even for the disciples, those rude words will later be the cause of gratitude because they were words of love. Let the disciple awaken and have the bright view of the sun's golden rays in his life. A master does not abuse his disciple, he only shows the right path. When Jesus was arrested, his disciples asked him, "What will happen to us?" Jesus replied, "I will be here with you soon to reveal to you the supreme liberty. I will take you all, those who are my believers, to heaven where my Father dwells." So has Jesus come? Hasn't it been 2000 years? When will he come? Until these poor people stop believing these messengers, they will not become true rebel. To be a true rebel, you should learn to be alone, self-dependent, and let rebellion arise within you. Gautam Buddha taught that for this birth, become your own light. Do not depend upon others. Those who are dependent can never be rebellious, can never be the enlightened ones. When a seeker starts to become self-dependent, he will soon be granted freedom. This freedom decorates him with divine bliss, divine beauty, and maturity. He becomes so serene that flowers bloom for him and the whole existence turns out to be a heaven for him. He finds utopia within this existence. It is not a matter of going to heaven, but a matter of going within and disclosing the heaven within ourselves. Then the whole scenario transforms. No trees, flowers, birds, or people will remain the same for us because we become enlightened then. For the enlightened ones, every moment becomes heavenly. This is the reality that has been experienced. If you want, even you can experience it. The courage to embrace the true spirituality, true religion, and true master is the act of rebellion. All other economic, political, social rebellion succeeds when the true rebellions succeed. Blind faith in anyone without your investigation kills the rebel within us. The birth of a true rebel is only possible when you say whatever you feel is true and follow it fearlessly despite the challenges you have to face. Rebellion does not mean the freedom of doing whatever you wish, but to follow whatever the truth is. The guts to accept the truth makes you rebellious. Among various rebellious personalities, Dayananda Saraswati was one of them. He was born in Hindu family. On the occasion of Shivaratri, Dayananda Saraswati was fasting and staying awake the whole night in front of the statue of Lord Shiva. It was in the middle of the night that he saw a mouse climb up to the statue of Lord Shiva and eat all the fruits lying around the statue. The incident gave birth to the rebel within him, and he thought, "Why should I fast and stay up the whole night for a statue that cannot take care of itself?" So he went out to search the truth. Sufis are the true rebels because they are ready to face the death penalty rather than to suppress their inner voice. So dear seekers, become true rebels, but first be spiritual. What haste, what boredom. This is the age of haste. Patience has been lost. No one cares to be patient. Western society has communicated a fever of speed, of haste. Everything is preferred to be as instant noodles. And as a result, everyone learns to live in a superficial level. People have lost the depth of life. Many things in nature are supposed to be slow. For example, a seasonal flower fertilizes in its third week and starts to open its petals in the sixth and finally blooms. Similarly, it takes a long time for a sapling to grow into a tree, but it takes more than that for the fulfillment of one's quest for truth. Let me make it crystal clear with the help of a story. This story is fictional, but let us try to understand the moral it has. Once, there was an old sage that saw a god pass by him. The sage asked this god to hold on, and he asked, "Aren't you walking up to meet the Supreme Lord?" Yes, I am. Do you want to ask him anything?" The sage replied, "Yes, ask him, how long will it take for me to gain enlightenment? And then please let me know." There was another seeker, a new initiated one, sitting near a banyan tree, whom the god asked, "Don't you have anything to ask to the Supreme Lord about your enlightenment? I shall ask it for you." This seeker did not reply, nor did he show any kind of response. He remained still and silent. The god went away. After a few minutes, the god returned back. He turned to the old saint and said, "3 births more for enlightenment." With great rage, He threw the beads he had held on his hand. His eyes turned red and shouted, "What? 3 baths more?" The god now turned to the younger one and said, "I asked the Lord about how long will it take for your enlightenment, and I found it is as many baths as the number of leaves in the banyan tree you are sitting under." The seeker's eyes filled with bliss. He stood up and danced and said, "O dear Lord, your divine blessings. Among many other trees in the world, how mercifully you have chosen this tree with so less leaves on it. Now I have met you and gained freedom." Do you know how the story ended? The young saint was still dancing when he gained enlightenment. This is the divine patience. The one rich in patience can gain freedom anywhere, here and now. In this context, I have received a question from a friend. Why is it difficult to wait to have patience? Dear friend, it is because your mind gets bored so fast. Boredom has become a common characteristic of the people today. It is just human beings who feel bored. Have we ever seen any animals or birds being bored? Any attractive thing easily bore the mind? Humans get bored not only by sorrows, but even by joy and happiness. We want salty and spicy after we have lots of sweet foods. Nothing saves humans from being bored. Even gigantic bungalows, beautiful and attractive men or women, lots of money and reputation bore human beings easily. Everything is attractive until we achieve it. We labor hard to achieve, but even the achievement bores us. The mind is attracted to the word bicycle when we are walking. When we get a bicycle, then the attraction is gone. The bicycle stays at home and we forget about it after some days. Then a new attraction to a motorcycle begins. After that, we demand television, refrigerator, washing machine, etc. If you are in a middle class family, you are surely provided with these appliances. But let me ask you, are you content with them? That is why it is said attractive when inaccessible, but worthless when accessible. Nobody gets bored when trying to achieve, but one is easily bored when the goal is achieved. Thus, monotony begins. No one becomes fed up over the endeavor for achievement. But why is it difficult for people to wait and have patience? Patience has bliss at its depth. The haste of the mind creates difficulty and impatience. Have you ever noticed the impatience while you are traveling? Why are we so impatient in our journey? It is because while traveling, the body is inside the bus. But what about the mind? The mind is always at the destination, is it not? As soon as we enter the bus, the mind starts its one imagination. When will I reach? As soon as I reach, I shall do this, I shall do that. The mind never wishes to stay patiently where it is. Observe not only yourself, but notice other travelers in the bus. Everyone is busy inside their one imagination, woven in their one tapestry of thoughts, as if the bus is an exotic place for imagination and thoughts. Here goes one of my incidents on a bus journey. During the examination conducted by Higher Secondary Education Board, I was sent to Gol Bazar in Siraha district as an invigilator. The examination was to start at 7 am sharp. This meant I had to start my journey the evening before the examination. Since I enjoy to deepen into myself rather than to talk to the other men, I sat in a vacant seat and began to meditate. Before that, I had asked the conductor to remind me and wake me up when the bus reached Gol Bazar. Alas, I had just begun to concentrate on the chakra between my eyebrows and was chanting when someone shook me and said, "We have reached Gol Bazar, wake up." I was amazed to see how the time had vanished. It was at that moment that I realized all impatience and restlessness is due to the mind. Once the mind is dissolved, there remains only peace and restfulness. Yoga is the way to reach the state where the mind gets dissolved. The way is meditation. Let me continue with what I was saying. Does everyone in the world becomes bored once they have reached achievement? One has to confront boredom in achievement. This is the realization of the world. In finding the truth in spirituality, it is exactly the opposite. On his endeavor to find the truth, every seeker gets bored, gets tired, but after achievement, no boredom lingers behind. He becomes blissful, a blissful life honor. Dear friends, you have noticed the reflection formed on the pond water is always upside down. When your head is up, the reflection sews it down, and your legs on the ground are up in the reflection. Similarly, mind projection in the world is also upright. That is why the rules applicable in the material world cannot be applied towards the search of truth. Only the opposite rules are acceptable. This is the difficulty of every person, the balance of both the rules. Dear friends, we never get bored to read daily magazines about crime. We do not face boredom listening to the radio all the time. But what about meditation? We do not like to meditate. We are bored to worship God daily. Impressed by some series in Jagaran, listeners come to me and say, "We like meditating while Jagaran is on the radio. How many days should we do meditation?" I reply, to have some experiences or to catch a glimpse, you need to practice for 3 months regularly and with totality. 3 months? And they never ever return back to me. Look how difficult it has become to even patiently meditate for 3 months. Dear friend, if you regularly and totally meditate for 3 months, it could be enough for your awakening. Just 3 months would be enough for the golden window of awakening to open for you. Chapter 16: Yoga, Pranayam and Meditation. Dear meditative seekers, pranam to your divine health. Please do accept my honor. Here, let me explain the relation of yoga, pranayam and meditation with our health. Dear seekers, in fact, religion is to understand the divinity of the physical as well as mental health. Religion is not about showing off the knowledge that is acquired by reading religious texts. Religion is not about disputing between religious groups in the name of the religion for the sake of temples, mosques and cathedrals. What is temple? A temple is a building constructed by brick and stone where idols are kept. A temple should be a place for meditation. A temple is the home of the Supreme where entry should be permitted to everyone. A temple is called mandir, where a man means mind and dir means calm. So a temple is the place where our mind becomes calm. However, today, temples have become the place where the mind gets more disturbed. Any act that makes the mind placid and helps one to obtain the divine health can be said to be religion. Similarly, yoga, pranayam and meditation have a deep and direct effect on one's health. The practice of these three helps to create divine health within us. Maximum diseases and illness have piled up in the subconscious and unconscious minds of average people, and about 90% of the meditation practices can help in curing the mental as well as physical diseases. If meditation is practiced, various complexities can be easily avoided. These complexities have been created by so-called religions and they hinder the faith of the truly religious people. The problems of the ongoing complexities can only be solved by the joint endeavor of constructing an auditorium where people can practice yoga, pranayam and meditation, discarding the discrimination of caste, creed, language, religion and culture. Dear friend, it is not my principle but my inner cry and humble request to all of you. Yoga, pranayam and meditation directly affects the body, mind and soul in a dynamic way. Different yogic postures help us to increase the flexibility of the body. Similarly, pranayam and meditation help us to increase the amount of vital cosmic energy in our body because in pranayam we take rhythmic breaths. Life is just a game of breath. The breath is the breeze between the soul and the body. It is distributed to all by God. Pranayam helps us to erase illness and clean the dirt off the inner mirror. This is very important for the cure of the mental illness. In pranayam, we take regulated breaths which help us to regulate our life. To regulate breath means to regulate life. Due to the paucity of our awareness about pranayam, we are unaware of the way we breathe. The air we inhale is not enough to open 6,000 pores of our lungs. With the help of pranayam, we can open the remaining 4,000 pores, which usually remain filled with carbon dioxide, by taking deep and regulated breaths. In Izalin, California, we can visit an auditorium or laboratory where catharsis is practiced for 15 minutes. They allow us to do anything we wish to: laugh, cry, yell, scream, and hit the pillows, all of this to expose and release anger. In about 15 minutes of continuous catharsis, our negative feelings get exposed and seekers become placid. In today's society, we are in serious need of similar laboratory in other parts of the world as well. Likewise, in some of the meditation practices I teach, we ask ourselves, who am I? Close your eyes and ask for your real identity. Who am I? Am I the name? Is my identity that of a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Muslim, a Sikh, a Jain? What is it? Let us ask to ourselves. This is the technique of Raman Maharshi. Until we recognize ourselves, it is not possible to solve any problems or avoid any sort of dispute. When we ask for our identity continuously, finally a voice will be heard. It is a voice that was always there, the Om chanting. It is a matter of gratefulness that we keep this holy chant in a man-made boundary. This chanting is boundless. It can exist among any religion or caste. This chant is only heard when all is calm and still. It is the sound of silence, the soundless sound. Even when name, body and mind is left behind, it always remains this sound, the sound of silence. This silence has a miraculous impression on our physical, mental and spiritual health. This sound is born from the depth of meditation. It is born in the depth of all the negativity. In laboratory of Oxford University, an important experiment was performed. In the laboratory, 2 seeds of a seasonal flower were kept in 2 different flower pots. Both of the seeds were equally taken care of with equal amount of water and fertilizer. The one difference, one of the flower pots was kept in a room where pop music was played for an hour, and the other pot was kept in a room where Beethoven's music was played for an hour. As a result, the seed listening to Beethoven easily germinated. The other seed kept in the room where pop music was playing took a much longer time to germinate, and even when it germinated, it did not grow too well. After seeing the results of similar experiments, we can understand the effect of sound on human health. Similarly, in yoga, pranayam and meditation, silent music is played in order to take one to the depth of meditation, into the depth of life. Dear seekers, yoga, pranayam and meditation are the gateway to divine health. There is no other alternative to meditation to feel the real depth of the divine health.